Hey everyone. A lot of what we've discussed and learned has been on a general philosophical level. This video is meant to break things down into specifics. In other words, real examples that may allow you to walk away with an actionable takeaway, or at least a much deeper and relatable understanding. You'll see a handful of these actionable videos sprinkled throughout the course. We've been talking about the risks of making financial decisions based off of AI information and/or recommendations. In this video, we're going to get more into specifics. In other words, I'm going to detail you an actionable example that happened to me, which could have caused issues had I not had some type of underlying knowledge. I'm going to have to give you a little background information, but don't worry, your level of understanding only needs to be basic. There is a company formerly known as MicroStrategy that has recently changed its name to Strategy. I'm probably still going to call it MicroStrategy just so there's no confusion. The company itself has an underlying business, but has recently put a lot of effort into having a Bitcoin reserve tied to their company. In doing so, they have leveraged a lot of debt. The company is also selling at a very high multiple against its sales. Without getting into detail, it is far higher than industry peers, or most other companies for that matter. To give some context, back when we had the popular meme stock explosion, AMC and GameStop, their multiple got to extremely high levels, similar to what MicroStrategy is now. On top of that, because MicroStrategy is so popular, it is currently overbought, which basically means there's a lot of potential sellers in the near future. Now we move to the next leg of the conversation. This is an ETF with the symbol MSTY. The most simplistic way I can explain this is that this ETF trades options on MicroStrategy, which has the ticker symbol MSTR, and pays a nice dividend in doing so. There's a lot more to it, including trade-offs on the negative side. It is a very volatile ETF that pays a very high dividend, so it, at the very least, is fun to trade. With this backstory, I was in a group text where the group was talking about MicroStrategy. Well, really it was Misty, MSTY, in a very positive light. In other words, advocating for and with the intentions of buying more in the near future. This is where AI enters the picture. I was out for a walk and decided to run this by ChatGPT. I asked about MicroStrategy, which is the one on the right. I asked about its current valuation, as well as some other metrics, including it being overbought. It gave me great information that seemed to make sense and be accurate. A lot of what ChatGPT discussed is all the angles in which the company is under pressure and could see a significant drop within the next 1 to 3 months. So far, so good. I then moved the conversation on to Misty, the one on the left, MSTY. MicroStrategy is volatile and a playoff of Bitcoin. Misty is even more volatile and a playoff of MicroStrategy. The basics of what I asked is what will happen to Misty if MicroStrategy goes through this significant downturn. Alright, so I had to go through a lot to give you the payoff of the story. The response from ChatGPT was that Misty was a double levered ETF and therefore would fall double that of MicroStrategy. The problem is the last part is completely untrue. It is not a levered ETF. It definitely plays off of MicroStrategy, but being levered is a completely different thing. When I called ChatGPT out on this misinformation, it actually knew. It then corrected itself and gave me a better answer. The point is that I could have made a bad financial decision because I was deep into the conversation before it finally got something wrong. And the weird part about it was that the fact that it was AI laziness that prevailed. It made assumptions instead of taking the extra split second to fact check what it was about to say. It gets slightly worse. I then brought up TSLY, which does the same thing MSTY does, but it trades its options off of Tesla. ChatGPT immediately after we just had the conversation was wrong again, calling TSLY a double levered ETF. I had to correct it again. So I had to have a lot of background knowledge or understanding. Others may not have had that and therefore think they are getting good information. This isn't the first example in general, and it isn't the first example where it messed up financial advice. I hope I didn't get too deep with the explanations and that the point was made that it is still important that financial literacy still needs to be taught to students. Thanks for watching.